Alrighty, y'all, this is World Class Jerk, bringing you episode 3 of Astroneer. Now, in the last one, I gathered a semi-crap ton of bytes, and as such, I wanted to get not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, but 8 RTGs. Now, the first problem with this is that I don't have enough bytes, but I'm going to solve that before it becomes an issue. Now, of course, if I'm going to want to get 8 RTGs, I'm going to need 8 nanocarbon alloy. I'm going to have to gather nanocarbon alloy like a man. Now, the first thing you want to ask yourself when doing a project like this is, how can I make it easy? And very simply, you cannot. So, don't even try to make this one easy because it's going to suck no matter what. So the first order of business properly is going to be this thing and this thing. Absolute musts, because nanocarbon alloy and what nanocarbon alloy is made of requires this thing, and then it requires this thing as well. It's absolutely the very base first, you have to have it kind of thing. It's nice if you have a large shuttle, or maybe a hydrazine thruster, but we don't do that kind of thing around here because that would be educated. So if you're like me and you're doing this at an unnaturally early point in the game, you do need to acknowledge that this is going to take a lot of thrusters, solid fuel thrusters, as it stands in my case. But, first thing, because you got to come back here twice, you know what I mean? You got to come here first for the iron, then you got to come back for the argon, because you don't have the thing you need to make you can't make. So obviously, because I'm a man, a very epic specimen. Yeah, I have a base here on Glacio already, so it'll help me operate out of here pretty easily, which is good because much of what you need is on this planet. And I'm here right now particularly for iron, so I can make the whatever the frick it's called. Where is it at? This thing and this thing. I will need iron. I will need tungsten for one, but I'm going to worry about iron right now because iron is here and I have a base here. But iron is found on the surface. And there's some iron right there. Not very hard to find here, especially if you have a base set up, like I say always. Bases are all about tethers, and tethers are all about bases. They support each other. It's not very hard to get tethers if you have a soil centrifuge, or whatever the frick it's called. Yeah, you want to make sure you have power too, but it doesn't matter that much. You don't need the drills or whatever, but you do need drill mod 1 if you're going to get whatever the frick it is in the caves here that you need, because I know there's something, I just don't remember what it is. So you got your iron, right? That's great, but later on, you're going to need titanium, so I recommend just going ahead and getting that. I didn't know this in my last series, which the episode where I did this was not seen, so you don't know about that even if you did watch it, which you didn't. But I did end up having to come here more than what was necessary, because what you actually need is titanium, I believe it is. It's whatever this green thing is. It's also on Glacio, though, so if you can get it all on the same trip, definitely something you want to do. Of course, you need the drill mod for that, but not very expensive. Just one ceramic, and I don't know if it's automatically unlocked, but I don't remember unlocking it. It was unlocked for me. So this shouldn't be a big deal. It's not very rare down here, and if you already have a tether line ran like I do, for the sake of bytes, it should be an extra no problem for you to find. So I'm going to get 8, of course, because that's what I need to get 8 nanocarbon alloy. So boom, son, just like that, you've got 8 of this and 8 of this in one trip. Pretty significant thing, if you ask me, because that's quite a bit of items right there that are relatively expensive. And like I said before, 8 is not much harder than 1. Actually, I didn't say that before, but 8 is not much harder than 1. So getting 8 nanocarbon alloy is only, well, that's going to be harder than getting 1 significantly because of helium. Helium's basically the jerk of Astroneer. I've said that before, I think, but I'm going to say it again because I cannot stress it enough. Helium is the jerk of Astroneer. Okay, it is the worst thing to gather in the world, but thanks to our friends over here in this pile, our medium generator crew, it won't be so hard after all. If I took 1 of these, it would speed it up significantly compared to if I took a small generator, which is what I normally would do. But if I took 2 or 3 of these, it wouldn't really be hard at all. Actually, I think 2 would be pretty much maximum efficiency. Yeah, this thing takes 20 units of power, so 2 of these would generate 18. That'd be a crap ton of power. It would speed things up significantly, so that might be what I do, but we'll just have to see. Anyways, yes, if you did this, you likely have 3 iron left over on Glacio that you could not bring back with you unless you were willing to sacrifice a few things in your inventory, unless your inventory is not set up like mine, in which case you'd probably just be fine. But if you have 3 left on Glacio, it's okay because you got to go back anyways to take a atmospheric condenser, and then when you go there with that, you can come back with the iron then. Perfectly fine, as if it never happened, and then by the time it's all said and done, the resources were there before you needed them anyways. So this place, I don't really know what's best, by the way. I'm not a pro by any meaning of the word. Yeah, but this place right here is where I went last time, so it's where I'm going to go this time because it worked out just fine for me. Only thing is that I did not bring anything, you know what I mean? And this is a little bit, I guess it's almost cheating, but it's technically a thing you can do. This is what I do sometimes if I just want to gather resources. I use the rocket for oxygen. Don't bring tethers, don't bring an oxygenator. I simply take the rocket with me. Now, an important thing to notice is that you want to have all these off. You can toggle them on and off by pressing F. You want them all off so you don't use any energy because the rocket produces 0 energy. You have no way to get power here unless you, of course, make a small generator, start powering it on this planet directly. But I don't want to do any of that unless I have to. So basically, I'm gonna go straight down into a cave with this rocket. I'm gonna take it with me, carrying it because that's so fair and a manly thing to do. So here it is. It didn't take that long to get to, and I found one of these things. If you found one of those, I would say I don't know how I'm going to power them all. Probably not too long, but you can do this, and that's really fast. And look how. Oh yeah, daggum, that's overpowered. Okay, so I guess I almost recommend making one of these before you leave if you can. I might actually start doing that. I did not realize how powerful that really is. I mean, I guess small generators to the same effect, but this thing's just, it turns like, it's like a battery. It turns itself on whenever you need it, essentially. It's very useful. I actually extremely appreciate how much faster that was for that. But, actually, since I'm here and I brought this thing, it probably wouldn't hurt to go on ahead, actually, and get 16 instead of 8. I always recommend stacking it up, hopefully by things divisible by 8. Don't know why. That's just kind of how I like to do it, because the backpack and most storage systems are based upon things that are divisible by 8. But, you do it how you want, but just always remember, the more you get while you're there, it's always the better, because if I just got 1, for example, and I wanted to get 8 of them eventually, I mean, that's 8 trips. If I got 1 each time, just what I needed. If you get more than what you need, you'll always appreciate it later. So I would just like to quickly point out the significance of the efficiency of this, because it does seem like it would suck using a small shuttle and a solid fuel thruster. But this right here is 2 trips, okay? Once to Glacio, once to whatever the moon is called. That's not so bad. I think it's Decilo. But that's not so bad. I mean, this is a lot of resources here. This is like 32 items. Yes, 32 items exactly. That's how many this is, and that's extremely efficient. Well, I won't say extremely efficient. There's definitely better ways to do it, obviously, that involve, anything but the small shuttle. But that's okay, because using the small shuttle is extremely possible. It's not even that bad. That's exactly what I'm going to prove in this episode. I mean, it wasn't necessarily the goal, but I guess it's leaning more in that direction since I realized it really isn't that bad. Anyways, after you have these resources, it should be easy to get what you need on the home planet further in order to create these sons of guns. And then 2 extra of these. I have a second one being made right now, which should put you down 3 iron, leaving you with 5. But like I said before, when you take one of these to Glacio, which you will need later on for the nanocarbon alloy, you can simply bring the 3 that you left there back. Or if you didn't leave 3, not very hard to gather 3 more. Either way, you still win. You'll have the amount of iron you need when you get back to make 8 nanocarbon alloy in the end. So here you are on Glacio, where you left your 3 iron, unless you didn't. But the next thing you want to do is make another platform, of course, unless you are the type who likes to juggle things between the same platform and use it. But for me personally, I find it a lot more neat to just go on ahead and make a new platform for each item that I need, because that's nice. The atmospheric condenser here is what this platform is for, and all you need from this place is argon. Now, the reason we got all of this argon is for steel, which is just carbon and iron and argon, of course. So the iron, which we have 8 of, and the argon, which we have 8 of, and the carbon, which we can get 8 of, no problem at all. In fact, demonstrate it right here. Put it in the soil centrifuge, 2 canisters. Go to organic. And then when you're done here, you just switch these out. You'll have 8 over there. And then you bring them back, and you have 8, so you can make that. Now, I usually don't show getting the resources that you need that are on the home planet, because that's usually so easy for having a base already. But yeah, everything falls into place. Having 8 of every item ends up with 8 of the end item, of course. That's just a certain way of looking at it that really helps you speed things up. But nitrogen is a gas gotten here. That's why you want this here. Now, you can use the same one and keep repackaging it, but that's another thing that I personally find inefficient. It's easier maybe, but again, in the end, you'll probably appreciate it more just to leave one of these on every planet, just like you'll probably appreciate it more to throw up a starter base on every planet whenever you get the chance. I personally didn't want to go to the extent of starter basing on every planet in this episode, because this is a pretty big task in and of itself this early game. Maybe shouldn't have done it so early. I've kind of regretted it so far, but it's really not that bad. So here we are so far in the process, guys. We got ourselves 8 steel and 8 titanium. Now, I know this is a little rough, but you got to understand, 8 nanocarbon alloy is quite a bit, because nanocarbon alloy is an expensive resource. It's the most expensive resource, if I'm not mistaken, and that makes this an extremely valuable thing to do, getting 8. If you can get more than 8, definitely do that. But for me personally, given that I'm just using the small shuttle, I'll only go for 8. But you gotta understand that even though this does take a long time, it's still extremely worth it because of how good nanocarbon alloy is. So I got the nitrogen going here, and I realized that we also need graphene. Now, graphene is a home planet material, but it is a little bit rougher to get because it requires, where is he at, hydrazine, which requires ammonium, and since the best way to get ammonium is probably the soil centrifuge, that does take quite a bit because it takes 2 canisters for a single ammonium, right? And we need 8 hydrazine, which means we need 16 ammonium, which means we need 32 canisters full of soil just for this graphene. I will not, again, show this process because the home planet stuff is pretty much, everybody's got that down for the most part. Alright guys, this one really is rough, but after a little while, it's really not that bad though, because if you get the extra canisters and you get a flow going, it does craft pretty quick as long as you have the automatic things going. What I like to do was take the items from here and put it onto this and have both these on automatic and then gather more soil when it was needed. But after you get 8 graphene, this is probably the only resource that's harder to get in a greater abundance. Because the other ones, if you want to get 8 instead of 1, you're already there, so all you gotta do is just get a few more. But with this one, you really do have to push it if you want more than 1, but that's okay because in the end, it's going to be worth 8 nanocarbon alloy. Anyways, you needed that graphene for titanium alloy, and since the previous steps already got everything else we need, all you gotta do is grab your titanium, your nitrogen, and your graphene, and you should start making that alloy pretty easily because you got your medium generator, or at least I hope you do because it's the best thing. And there you go. So at this point, this is actually all you have. All of your previous resources have gone into both steel and titanium alloy, because titanium alloy, being an expensive son of a gun, takes a crap ton of alloys just to make it itself. But that's okay. All that means is that you're closer to the go, and it really is more convenient with it all in these items like this here. So here's the real sucky part. You gotta get helium. This is the last step, but it is indeed the most suck step of all, because you pretty much gotta make a starter base on Atrox to do this. I know I was talking earlier like I wasn't gonna make a starter base on any of the planets, but really I feel like that in the end is more efficient, and it obviously allows me to come back for helium later too if I need it. But the reason I'm making a starter base there is because, as I've said before, starter bases equal as much of any soil centrifuge resources you want. That's what a starter base is about for me. If you get a soil centrifuge up, you've got a starter base, so I'm going to have to get a starter base there so I can get enough carbon to run 2 generators until I get 8 helium, which is a lot of dedication to a task like this, but having that set up there is really important for if you want to go back later, and also, it's so much faster than if you did it any other way, because I can tell you from experience that waiting for this to happen with not very much power is absolutely the physical representation of what suck is. But, of course, the first things first, you want a platform to work off of. Taking one separately instead of crafting it here does speed things up a bit, as I said. It actually makes the medium printer the small printer entirely useless, so I didn't think about that before I came here, but it doesn't matter. It makes this useless too. Could have been extra inventory space I saved, but again, if you're watching this separately from me, you can pretty much avoid any mistake I made ahead of time. But medium printer is how we get to the soil centrifuge. Throw down your medium generator. Only 1 for now, because running 2 right now is entirely pointless. Nothing takes a lot of power that nothing that's been brought so far takes a lot of power except for this. Nothing even comes close. This takes 20 units of power. Everything else here takes like 2. So until you get that thing running, it's completely pointless, even stupid, to use both generators. So you want to conserve. It's all about conserving fuel until you get to the point where you can make it, which really doesn't take that long under these current circumstances. But you still want to be safe by not using fuel unless you're crafting. But yeah, you should have no problem. I mean, as long as you brought a decent amount of carbon, not even much, you should have absolutely plenty to get yourself to the smelter. And that's, after that, it's a starter base. You can do whatever you want. You can expand it further if you want. You can just go ahead and get the helium. It's completely as if you are on the starter planet again. Except, of course, the resources are a bit different. But mainly you hit the starter planet. If you want to expand your base, the soil centrifuge is the grounds for that. Here, it becomes the same thing once you get one, and you can do whatever the frick you want. So now would be an appropriate time to whip out that second generator. The thing is, this might be a little hard to keep up with. I'm not 100%. I haven't done it yet. But I'm willing to bet that keeping up with 2 generators is a little bit less than a good time. So, you may have to spend pretty much all your time fueling this thing. But even so, it's okay, because the kind of speed you're getting here is certainly worth it in the end. So, that actually wasn't even that bad. I thought this was going to suck even with the extra power, but I can definitely say for sure one thing. I do not regret taking 2 generators. That would have taken quite a while with 1, and it really wasn't hard to keep up with, actually. I just had to go to the soil centrifuge 1 time to power all that process, and 8 helium is a serious thing. Helium is the worst, okay? It is the worst thing in the world to gather. So, the fact that I only needed to do that to get that much is definitely a good thing. But once you got your helium, you can just bail. Alright, that's all you're here for. It's a fat task, it really is. But once you get it and you have all those other resources, you can make the nanocarbon alloy. That is what it costs. That is what the resources are. And I will skip ahead to where I'm doing that, even though that is soon, because I'm running out of bullcrap to say to stall. So this is it. This is the moment, okay? You take your resources, you slap them on there. Hang on. You press loop. And then you press... what? Yeah, okay, you can do that. Then you go over here, and this is what I would do personally. I would get 4 of each. And then turn on your generator. Oh, yes. I left my generator on, so it's out of fuel. But it really is easy. All you gotta do is keep it on automatic mode, start slapping these down when you need it. You got a nanocarbon alloy. And then you get 8. Okay, it's sucky all the way up to this point. It really is, but 8 nanocarbon alloy, as said before, is an absolute crap ton. So there you have it, guys. Nanocarbon alloy, this moment of great goodness where you've got 8 of them, which is a lot of nanocarbon alloy. Okay, normally this is the kind of thing you only get 1 of, but once you realize the efficiency of getting multiple, I would hope you'd never go back to getting just 1 again. That being said, this is really all my point to this video. The whole thing is to point out the importance of gathering multiple of something whenever you can, because you may need it later. It's an extremely efficient way to play games, and now that you have all these, you can make multiple RTGs, multiple of anything you need, which I'm not going to worry about RTGs right now because of my byte situation, but that's not the point. The point is, you want to gather as many nanocarbon alloys as you can, given its expensiveness, because even though that makes it harder, it also makes it easier in the long run. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one, so be sure to come for the next one, because I'm definitely going to try to make things flow better in it than they did in this one. This video was a little rough because I was unprepared. But enough of that crap, because I'm getting sick of being unprepared. I will prepare better for it, so I'll see you in that one.